It's like the entire country is being held hostage. That's how my constituent Abdul Bastani, the Chief Executive of Glasgow Afghan United, described the situation in Afghanistan after the Taliban takeover. One of those trapped was his own brother, a UK citizen, but who had travelled back to visit his wife and his children because the Tory government's arbitrary earning thresholds for visas meant he hadn't been able to bring them to the UK for a family reunion. Now, thankfully, they were among the lucky ones who got out in the airlift, but they should have been here years ago. Likewise, he has friends who served as interpreters for the UK Armed Forces who are still there because they were employed by a security company and not directly by the British Army, and therefore told that they weren't eligible for schemes to resettle in the UK. Now, the Armed Forces Minister offered to look into that earlier this week, but they again should have been here years ago. I'm
grateful to my honourable friend for giving way. There's also a great deal of confusion over the treatment of British Council staff. It's still unclear why they were excluded from ARAP, and they should certainly be here. It's unclear what will happen to these staff in the future, how many were special cases and how many still remain there. I wonder if he agrees with me that that is another issue that really needs to be clarified.
I think she's right, and the Minister should respond to that. I fully support the Labour motion for a committee of inquiry. I'm not sure the government has pretty thin reasoning for opposing it. Technically, it's a House matter, the establishment of a new committee, so it should be a free vote for their backbenchers tonight. But hundreds of constituents in Glasgow North have been in contact with me since the US withdrawal began, distressed at the scenes in Kabul and across Afghanistan, and demanding action from governments in the UK and wanting to express their solidarity. And I've spoken to constituents particularly concerned about the treatment of women, girls and other minority groups, as we all are. And other expat constituents from Afghanistan who have emphasised that Afghanistan is not a lost cause, that resistance to the Taliban remains real, and the UK government needs to be aware of that.
I thank you for giving way. Would you share my concern that many constituents who have been here for years have not yet had any certainty about their status, including my constituent Ahmed, who fled the Taliban as a child and has been here for 13 years and still does not have any certainty on his status?
No, absolutely. And again, I hope the ministers will respond to that, because refugees are welcome in Glasgow. The city has shown time and time again that we are ready and willing to welcome anyone from Afghanistan who needs support. And no one who arrives from Afghanistan without documentation, or indeed from anywhere in the world fleeing persecution, should be criminalised under the new Borders Bill. That legislation should be stopped in its tracks, or at the very least amended beyond recognition, so that it provides a safe and welcoming environment, rather than doubling down on the hostility that this government has all too often shown. And that hostility and callousness is also evident in the decision to slash the UK aid budget, and the consequences for countries like Afghanistan are now becoming abundantly clear. So the government has to find a way to support those who remain in the country and try to preserve some of the progress that has been made, particularly with regard to support for women and girls. And when the government announces or claims it's announcing additional aid, it has to be clear whether that is genuinely additional to all the aid flows already committed, or if it's actually still operating within its envelope of 0.5% of GNI, in which case whatever money is being diverted to Afghanistan is coming from other places that also very badly need it. This year is supposed to be about global leadership, with the UK chairing the G7 and COP26 coming to Glasgow. But instead, all we're seeing, once again, is that global Britain is so much hot air. With its actions in Afghanistan taking its lead, as always, from the United States, we see a little Britain diminishing in influence and setting examples nobody wants to follow, while constituents in Glasgow want to live in a Scotland that's better than that, where global citizenship isn't just a slogan but a mindset, where our nationalism is defined by our internationalism and our commitment to live up to global goals and aspire to the highest of values, and the UK government has to start doing the same.